Okay.
Hi.
Yes. Okay, let's just oh, look at that. This is me. I saw you do a lot of stuff with say like the city councils, convention bureaus, that more that sort of high level government meetings kind of events.
Yeah, because not anymore, but our company was in charge of organizing and executing the events. It's called Asian Leadership Conference. It is hosted by the Chosa Media, which is most influential media in Korea, and then the largest and the oldest media. So, and then they are like having annual business event. We call it like Asia Davos Forum. So they, invite all these like high level officials and academias. Yeah, so we were in charge of that. So that's why it seems like we've been experiencing dealing with this high level government kind of officials. Yeah.
I saw your snapshot with Obama.
That is the highlight of my career, to be honest.
I saw in the DS Spotlight interview you mentioned about the
Mm,
Seoul. This is the twin Walk 21 Seoul International Conference.
yeah.
Could you tell me more about that conference and what you're looking forward to? Because I
Um,
went to look it up. It seems pretty interesting, but I haven't seen a lot more information about that, so was quite keen to find out from you.
So this Walk 21 Seoul is the international conference organized by Seoul Metropolitan City and Walk 21 NGO, and then they are like promoting the, how the city can make a better city or better place for walking for the people
Ah,
surrounded by good nature. So like the former mayor of Seoul, he was so into this like annual conference, so he hosted this event to Seoul like 3 years ago, and then our company won the bid, like official bid, to have this conference. And then we were very excited because it's kind of festival and very fun conference that we are thinking because it can be walking, it can be also related to travel, and a lot of people like not outside of Korea, they were like so excited to come to Korea and experience the Seoul city and then see how developed it is and very walking friendly city. So we were very excited, but then the COVID happened, so we all decided not to take the even hybrid or any offline event or we call in-person event. We just decided to do the no audience but only webinar format. So that's how it happens now. And then, but still, this is very exciting. And to be honest, like May is the perfect kind of weather for foreign tourists. Come to Seoul and then enjoy the weather and the views and the sights. So now our team is planning how we can bring this virtual experience to the foreign participants, not only foreign participants but also Korean participants, to enjoy the Seoul walking Seoul as a walking city with the good sightings. So that is like our one of the big agenda to do it, and I'm very excited.
is there anything from the that you learned that you've taken away from the DS course, which might help you
Yeah,
sort of like make this a bit more exciting now that it's fully
yeah.
on?
Well, actually, I don't know if I remember if I mentioned that in the interview, but actually, there are like two interesting points, or I wanna important points that I wanna take in from what I learned from DES. That first one is the audience engagement, because like from last year, for example, we've done like more than 20 webinars, but that's not all of them, but mostly like a one-way streaming because it's a webinar, and at the time, the technology and platforms are not really various. It was just a very solo, either like YouTube or like Zoom, so it wasn't much of interaction between the audience and the host organizers. But then whenever I just do this, conduct these webinars, I was thinking, how can we draw more attention from the audiences, and then how we can make this more interesting and dynamic, to not as same as maybe in-person events, but still like how we increase this. And that was like my agony. But then I took this DS, and then they gave us so much like good insight and like good ideas, and then they are like emphasizing on this audience engagement and some of the tools. So what I wanted to apply for the Walk 21 Soul is like, first is contents side, and then second is for like some event side. So for example, like contents wise, for example, this is the kind of academic conferences as well. So we have these oral papers, presentation. So for example, like host organizers, they want to have everybody just become an online, because it makes it more lively. But what I learned from DES, maybe that's not the best way. Maybe that's not the only solutions. Maybe we can like, mix and match. Like, we can just have some pre-recorded videos from the presenters already. And then, they can also, but also we can have the live Q&A. So when they are like, so the presenters, they can also be ready for the Q&A, and also they can watch other presenters' videos as well. So that makes the presenter makes them more comfortable and confident on the Q&A session, so it can become more natural when it comes to the Q&A. So there was the one tactic that I learned, and I applied that tactic to this conference. And I think that's a brilliant idea. So there was a one that I applied for, Walk 21. And then second one is, I think, the shift of paradigm of being a good speaker, I think that is changing. So it's not only that you are like a big name. Of course, I mean, you are a big name of speaker. That's very important, but that's not the only thing, because you're not going to be in the conference room. You have to be you have to give audience a showtime. So the speakers and the moderators, they should be ready as well. So they have to be trained, and they have to commit to develop their skills of delivery of their contents. And leading the conferences. So that's what I'm gonna do for this conference as well, because it's a big conferences, but we don't have all these big name speakers. They are like maybe specialists from some of the specific fields. So they are not like big speakers, but once we give them some of the training for like for the webinar, then I think they can give a bit more confident, and then they can just effectively deliver their contents. I think that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, absolutely. You come in from a place of how would I put it? I think it's a big shift for a lot of speakers as well to go from addressing people live to now you're just in front of the screen, and you kind of don't feel the energy. Yeah, so that's a that's a pain point of mine as well. Make people feel like, oh, I'm actually feeling someone else's energy, and it's the things that you don't get when you're just looking through a webcam. So which parts of the course, the DES course, that you found the most enjoyable?
So as I told you, because these 2 points that I learned was they're like module called audience engagement and contents, because there's something that I really wanted to know and find out, and what other people do. So that's what I could learn. And then second was the technology and production module. So there are like so many platforms and some of apps, so they're because you're overwhelmed because they're like too many. But now like I have a little bit of a more clear idea how I like mix it up and then conversion and then to make it just to be right for my conference. So you can actually have a broader kind of information on this technology and production ideas, and also this like some of the as your event planner, you always like think of how I can like engage the audience and how can I create like better contents to get more attention from the audience. So that is like two parts that I really enjoyed a lot.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah. And then also I think the at now because we were like normally like we were like conference organizer, right? But like before Corona, we just call like meeting planner or convention planner. But now this all webinars or hybrid is not only just you don't have you shouldn't be just a conference organizer or meeting planner or conference planner. You have to be a good mixture of like producer as well, because it's a live streaming, but with the conference the site as well, it should be added. So it's not only just like a TV live streaming or anything, it's more complicated, I think. So it's you have to be like develop yourself as a producer as well for better digital events.
Absolutely. I think you want to make sure that you're taking care of your client from the get-go all the way until the finished product and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.